Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Sarika Krishna Online Classes. This side Sarika, your maths teacher. In this video, I'm here with the knowledge of polynomials, class 9th. Polynomials. Before starting the polynomials or starting the exercise of polynomials, you should know certain terms. What are polynomials, right? What do you mean by monomials, binomials, trinomials? What do you mean by the coefficient of x square? What is the degree of the polynomial? What are the terms of polynomial, right? So what is a polynomial? It is an expression which is formed in simple words, the expression which is formed by the sum of terms. Sum of terms. It is an expression formed by sum of the terms. There are different terms and terms are separated by addition and subtraction and not by multiplication and division. Like for example, it's 3 multiplied by x. There are not two, these are not two terms. This is only one term because 3 into x is 3x. Only one term, right? So the terms are not separated by multiplication and division. Terms are separated by addition and subtraction. 4x square plus 3x square minus 7. So plus and minus, addition and subtraction, they separates the terms, right? So on that basis, we can see that there are how many terms in the expression. So what is a polynomial? It's clear. It is an expression having the different terms, sum of different terms, right? So now here in general, I've written for an example of this, right? In general, it can be, right, ax square, ax to the power n, right, plus then it can be a1, a2, right, x to the power n minus 1. In general, you can write it because we don't have the degree, level of the degree, right? Can be any expression, right? Now here, 7 upon 2x square plus 4 by 3 x plus 3. It is a general polynomial, right? It is a polynomial because it has three terms, 1, 2 and 3, right? Having more than one term, right? So now, what are the first you should know what are the terms? Terms are these ones, 1, 2 and 3. They are separated by here, in this case, addition. They can be separated by subtraction. Okay, this is first term, second and third term. Now, if the coefficients, you have to find the coefficients of the terms, like the coefficient of x square x, right? What do you mean by the coefficients? Coefficients are the numeric values. Numeric values means those values fixed. Numbers, 7 by 3, 7 by 2 or 7 or 5 or 6. The numbers, not the variables. So here 7 by 2 is the numeric value, right? So here the coefficient of x square is 7 upon 2. Here it's coefficient of x is 4 by 3. Constant term. There is a term which doesn't have the variable. Variable means x, y, z. It doesn't have x. So it is called a constant term. And here which is the constant term? That is 3. So I hope it's clear. Coefficient of x square is the number which is in front of x square, which is multiplied by that x square. And here it's 4 by 3. It can be in fractions. It can be negative number, positive numbers. Why? But only the numbers, not the variables. Here constant term is 3. Constant term means where there is no variable or the variable have a degree 0. Okay. Now then comes the term degree. What do you mean by the degree? Degree means the highest power. Highest power. We just see the highest power. Not all the powers, right? Like it is 3x square plus 3x. So degree here will be square 2, right? So the highest degree means highest power, right? So here what is the highest power? That is degree 1. Here it is 2, right? If it is an equation, it is an expression, right? Not an equation, expression having degree 1, that is the highest, means 4x plus 3, 4x, x ki power 1. So if you have degree 1, means it is called a linear polynomial. 3x plus 5, 5x plus 9, 4y plus 8, degree 1. They are called linear polynomials, linear. If it has degree 2, quadratic polynomials, 3x square plus 5x or 5x square plus 3, there should be square, x square. Those are called quadratic polynomials. Degree 3 means cubic. 3x ki power 3 cube, right? That is a cubic polynomial. So these are the types of polynomials on the basis of their degrees. Degree 1 linear, degree 2 quadratic, degree 3 cubic and so on, right? So now the classification of the polynomials on the basis of number of terms. If you have only one term, then monomial polynomials, right? The type of polynomial is monomial. Then binomial means two terms. Trinomial means 3, 1, 2 and 3. I told you that the terms are separated by addition and subtraction. If there is a sign of addition, terms are separated. Sign of addition, terms are separated. Sometimes it is written like this, 4 into 5 into 6. Some children think that they are 3 terms, or this way, 4 terms. No, it is just a one term because they are not separated by addition and subtraction. It is multiplication, and you can multiply this. 4 5 are 20, 20 into 2, right? Whatever it's come, right? 20 into 6 and x. That is only a single term, right? Now here like 120x. When we multiply this whole, it becomes 120x, right? 5 is a 30, 34 is a 120x. So it is in one term. 120x is one term, right? But the terms are separated by addition and subtraction. So jahan plus hai, jahan minus hai, can be negative also, no problem in that, right? So terms are separate, one term, two term and three term. Three terms they are called trinomials, two terms they are called binomials, one term means monomial. So this is the classification of the polynomials on the basis of number of terms, and the classification of polynomials on the basis of the degree, highest degree, right? There can be many degrees here, right? Many powers, not degrees, many powers. 3x2, 3x1, like that. You have to see the maximum power, highest power. So linear polynomial, quadratic polynomial and cubic polynomial on the basis of degree. Right? So I hope it's clear. What are polynomials? Polynomials are the expressions which are formed by the sum of the terms, and the terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Simple definition, right? So here, first term, second and third, and the coefficients you must be knowing. Okay, so now next. Okay, children, there are two important theorems, factor theorem and remainder theorem, right? So the exercises in polynomial NCERT are based on these, factor theorem and remainder theorem. You should know what is factor theorem and what is remainder theorem. What you have to do, right? So here we have a general equation, you know that dividend, right? In the junior classes you might have done dividend is equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. What does that mean? I'll write here. This is dividend, right? And this is divisor outside here. Divisor, this is quotient, and here it's remainder. So these are the terms. Dividend comes this side, the left side. Dividend kaise banta hai? How is dividend formed? That is formed by divisor into quotient plus remainder. Divisor into quotient plus remainder, right? So now here, so this equation here is required for the explanation of factor theorem and remainder theorem. Okay, now factor theorem, what is factor theorem? What is factor? How can you check that this is a factor of this? Suppose I'll give you 10 here. I have to check whether 5 is a factor of this or not. 5 2s are 10. Remainder comes out to be 0. Right? Yes, 5 is a factor of 10. The remainder has to be 0. If the remainder is not 0, so it is not a factor of that, right? So now here suppose 10 is divided by 3. 3 3s are 9. 1 is left. So this is not a factor. 3 is not a factor of 10. 5 is a factor of 10. Because for being a factor, the remainder has to be 0, right? So here, now in this here, in factor theorem here, remainder has to be 0, right? So what is the concept here is that this is equation. Suppose dividend is px, there is a polynomial, divisor is x minus a, and quotient is q, and remainder is r. Here, this is a divisor. For this, you have to put that divisor equals to 0, right? Putting this part equals to 0, because when you'll make it 0, then you'll get the value of rx from px, right? So here, if we are substituting this equals to 0, we are getting a value a. X minus a is equal to 0 means x equals to a, right? So if x equals to a here, and now if we will substitute this x equals to a here in place of x, so what you will get here, you will get, okay, p of a in place of x, x minus a means a minus a, x of a, right? There is certain value. Now here this term becomes 0, it vanishes, a minus a is 0. So we are left with PA and RA. So here, how can the remainder be 0? If remainder has to be 0 for the divisor to be the factor of dividend So this has to be 0 here. This has to be 0. So this has to be 0, means P of A has to be 0. So the value which you have here, found this here. So if that you have to put that has to come out to be 0, then it is a factor. So just put that value here. Maybe in the question it can be x plus 1, here value can be minus 1. So that value, if it makes this whole 0, means remainder comes out to be 0, then x minus a is a factor, that it will be a factor of px. Right? I'll be explaining with the example also the questions in the exercise that proves there. So what is a factor theorem? Factor theorem, we have a dividend, we have a divisor जिससे आप divide करते हो, we have a remainder, quotient, we have a remainder. Factor theorem says that this divisor will be a factor. मैंने अभी बोला था यहाँ 5 को 5 से divide किया था. So 5 is a divisor, 10 is a dividend. So 5 will be a factor of 10 if the remainder is 0, right? So this is here divisor, this is dividend, right? ये इसका factor होगा जब remainder 0 होगा. Remainder कैसे 0 आएगा? Let us take this divisor here. उसको आप 0 डाल लो. Question में जो भी given होगा in the exercise we'll do that also. So if this part has to be 0, वहाँ से कुछ value आएगी. So here according to this the value is here x equals to a. Now if we substitute this a here throughout, a, this becomes 0. Right? वो पार्ट रहेगा नहीं इसमें भी. Now PA is equal to RA. Now this divisor will be a factor of dividend if the remainder comes 0. So remainder 0 आता है तो हम क्या करेंगे? We have a polynomial, उसमें वो value डालेंगे. If the answer comes out to be 0, like x cube plus x1, ऐसे कुछ है, उसमें हम value डाल रहे हैं जो हमारे यहाँ से आई है. यहाँ तो आप taken the general A. We'll be taking the question like या x plus 1 होता तो value आती -1. So -1 को अगर हम उस polynomial में डालते हैं यानी कि dividend में और हमारा आंसर 0 आता, so अगर इसका आंसर 0 है तो remainder भी 0 होगा. अगर रिमाइंडर 0 है तो ये इसका फैक्टर होगा. सो दिस इज अ वे हाउ टू मेक द रिमाइंडर 0. आई होप इट्स क्लियर. सो अगर ऐसे करने से वैल्यू डालने से ये 0 हो जाता है. सो वी आर लेफ्ट हियर विद द रिमाइंडर. सो रिमाइंडर हैज टू बी 0 क्योंकि रिमाइंडर इसके इक्विवेलेंट है. अगर यही वैल्यू डाल के 0 आ रहा है सो रिमाइंडर हैज टू बी 0. अगर रिमाइंडर इज 0 so that x minus a will be a factor or dividend. So this is a way how to check whether one polynomial is a factor of the other polynomial. So we'll be doing questions. So this was all about factor theorem. Now what is remainder theorem? How to find the remainder by remainder theorem? So we have the same equation here. This dividend, divisor, quotient and remainder. अब आपको remainder चाहिए, right? तो remainder कैसे निकलता है? Again the same thing. आपके पास जो कि divisor है, substitute equal to 0, x की value a आएगी, right? अगर यहाँ पे x की value a आती है तो just substitute again here. So a minus a, right? Quotient ये qx part है, ये r of a. चलो a कर देते हैं यहाँ पे, right? So it is a. Okay, done. So I have substituted this value here. So what happens? This vanishes, ये तो a minus a 0 हो जाता है. So p of a is equal to r of a. Means आपको remainder find out करना था. With remainder theorem means it says that remainder इसके इक्वलेंट हो जाता है. अगर आप डिवाइजर को 0 डालते हैं एंड यू फाइंड आउट अ वैल्यू फ्रॉम देयर, सो व्हाट हैपेंस, ये एक दूसरे के आमने सामने आ जाते हैं उस वैल्यू पर जो आपने यहाँ से निकाली है डिवाइजर को 0 करना. सपोज यहाँ डिवाइजर जो हमारा x plus 1 होता है, सो वैल्यू कम्स आउट टू बी -1. तो ये वैल्यू -1, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट, दैट इक्वेट्स दिस. यहाँ आप डालोगे -1 तो यहाँ तो ऑलरेडी आपके पास ऊपर x plus 1 है, -1 डालोगे तो ये पार्ट तो 0 ही हो जाएगा. उस वैल्यू पे क्या होगा, ये पार्ट वैनिश हो जाएगा और px और rx या p of a of p या p of, अगर आपने -1 निकाली है वैल्यू, वो आमने सामने आ जाएंगे. डिविडेंड एंड रिमाइंडर. सो मींस रिमाइंडर निकाला जा सकता है अगर आप उस पॉलिनोमियल में जो आपको दिया गया है, जो डिविडेंड आपका है उसमें आप -1 डालो, जो आंसर आपका आता है वो r of -1 ही होगा. मींस दिस वे यू आर फाइंडिंग आउट द रिमाइंडर. सो हियर दिस इज फैक्टर थ्योरम एंड दिस इज रिमाइंडर थ्योरम. दोनों में ही हम सेम काम कर रहे हैं. क्या कर रहे हैं? डिवाइजर को 0 डाल रहे हैं. अगर डिवाइजर हमारा x plus 1 है उसको 0 डाल रहे हैं, वी आर फाइंडिंग आउट द वैल्यू ऑफ x. x आ गई -1. उस -1 को हम उस पॉलिनोमियल में डाल रहे हैं, राइट? यहाँ पे तो हम उसको डाल के चेक कर रहे हैं कि वो जीरो होता है या नहीं होता। अगर इट कम्स आउट टू बी जीरो तो मीन्स आपका रिमाइंडर उसके सामने है तो रिमाइंडर जीरो होगा। हाँ, अगर वो रिमाइंडर जीरो है तो फिर तो हमारा इसका फैक्टर प्रूव हो गया, और अगर जीरो नहीं है तो रिमाइंडर तो जीरो हो ही नहीं रहा। सिमिलरली वी हैव टू डू द सेम थिंग हियर ऑल्सो, राइट? Here also we are doing the same thing. What we are doing here? Okay, here also we are doing the same thing here. ये भी सेम इक्वेशन है, सेम ही चीज कर रहे हैं हम। जो ये है आपका डिवाइजर, ठीक है, इसको डिवाइजर को हम gx बोल देते हैं कई बार इक्वेशंस में एक्सरसाइज। इसको आपने जीरो डाला जो यहाँ किया, वहां से जो वैल्यू आती है, वैल्यू आई ए, सपोज आई टेकन एन एग्जांपल ऑफ -1, उस वैल्यू को व्हेन यू सब्स्टिट्यूट इन दिस, इसमें आप डाल देते हो तो ये पार्ट तो जीरो ही हो जाता है, जैसे यहाँ हुआ। होता क्या है, P of A comes in front equals to R of A. A क्या है, वो -1 वैल्यू जो आपने निकाली है। So P of -1 और R of -1. So in this question we don't have to prove that ये -1 डाल पे जीरो आता है या नहीं आता है, because वो तो हम फैक्टर चेक करने के लिए करते हैं। If it comes जीरो or not, जीरो आता है तो रिमाइंडर जीरो हो गया, yes it is a factor। यहाँ तो आपको रिमाइंडर निकालना है, you have to find the remainder. So this way you can find out the remainder कि आपने -1 वैल्यू निकाली, पॉलिनोमियल में डाली। पॉलिनोमियल कौन सा, जो डिविडेंड था, नॉट डिवाइजर। डिवाइजर से तो हमने वैल्यू निकाली है डिविडेंड में। अब डिविडेंड में वैल्यू डालेंगे तो वो तो रिमाइंडर ही देगा, क्योंकि इसकी वैल्यू और उसकी वैल्यू दे आर सेम। सो इट मींस यू कैन फाइंड आउट द रिमाइंडर दिस वे। You can find out the remainder this way means if a question comes, find out the remainder by remainder theorem। आपको क्या करना है, डिविडेंड दिया होगा, डिवाइजर दिया होगा, डिवाइजर को जीरो डालो, x की वैल्यू निकालो, x की वैल्यू निकालने पे डिविडेंड में डाल दो, उसके बाय दैट वो रिमाइंडर आ जाता है, बिकॉज इक्वेशन के अकॉर्डिंग ये पार्ट तो जीरो हो जाता है, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे तो यू जस्ट हैव टू फाइंड द रिमाइंडर बाय सब्स्टिट्यूटिंग द वैल्यू। हियर यू हैव, वो वैल्यू तो वहां पे भी वही सेम है, दिस यू हैव टू चेक कि वो वैल्यू वहां पे डालने पर जीरो आती है। तो क्योंकि ये आर एंड पी सेम, ये जो आपका पॉलिनोमियल है विच इज द डिविडेंड, जस्ट विच इज एक्टिंग लाइक अ डिविडेंड, दैट इज इक्वल टू द रिमाइंडर। सो यहाँ पे रिमाइंडर जीरो हो जाता है, तो ठीक है, ये इसका डिवाइजर जो होगा वो उसका फैक्टर होगा। अदर नहीं, अदरवाइज अगर उस वैल्यू पे वो जीरो नहीं हो रहा तो रिमाइंडर भी जीरो नहीं होगा, तो देन इट इज नॉट अ फैक्टर। सो इट इज अ फैक्टर, इट इज नॉट अ फैक्टर, डिपेंड्स ऑन पी ऑफ ए जीरो आता है या नहीं। यहाँ पे तो आपको रिमाइंडर निकालना है, जीरो तो प्रूव नहीं करना है। तो जो भी वैल्यू आपकी वहां से आती है, डालने पे पी में डालेंगे -1 में, जो आंसर आता है 15 आता है, 14 आता है, दैट विल बी द रिमाइंडर, बिकॉज ये तो रिमाइंडर ही होता है, राइट। यहाँ चेक करना है, यहाँ वैल्यू निकालनी है। आई होप फैक्टर थ्योरम, रिमाइंडर थ्योरम आर क्लियर, ठीक है। मैंने यहाँ पे डिफरेंस फॉर्म में दिखाया बिकॉज सम चिल्ड्रन दे गेट कंफ्यूज। फैक्टर थ्योरम देखते हैं, अच्छा इसमें भी ऐसे ही है, रिमाइंडर थ्योरम देखते हैं, इसमें भी ऐसा ही है। सो हियर इज द क्लैरिटी व्हाट यू आर डूइंग, राइट। दोनों में इक्वेशन सेम है, दोनों की प्रोसेस सेम है। gx मीन्स आपका जो डिवाइजर है उसको हम जीरो डाल रहे हैं, वहां से एक x की वैल्यू निकाल रहे हैं, x की वैल्यू को हम उसी पॉलिनोमियल में डाल रहे हैं जो हमारा डिविडेंड है, उसमें डाल के वो दोनों केस में r के इक्वल हो जाता है। इसमें हम चेक कर रहे हैं r जीरो आ रहा है कि नहीं, इसमें हम वैल्यू निकाल रहे हैं, जो वैल्यू आती है वो r की भी होगी, वो रिमाइंडर आ गया। सो आई होप इट्स क्लियर। Okay, so this was all about the basics of polynomials, right? What are polynomials? What are their coefficient? What are their terms? Polynomial is formed by different terms, addition of terms, right? Addition, subtraction, whatever, the different sum of the terms, right? So what do you mean by the coefficient? Numeric value, जो हर एक coefficient variable के आगे होती है। Then types of polynomials on the basis of degree. Degree 1 हुई तो cube, linear. Degree 2 हुई तो quadratic. Degree 3 तो cubic and so on. We just do till 3 only, right? और भी होते हैं आगे. Then the type of polynomials on the basis of their number of terms. एक term हुई, term एडिशन और सब्ट्रैक्शन से सेपरेट होती है, मल्टीप्लाई से नहीं। 3 मल्टीप्लाई 4 मल्टीप्लाई ये टर्म सेपरेट नहीं होती है, एक ही टर्म होती है, मल्टीप्लाई करके उनका एक ही आंसर आता है। सो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द टर्म्स, अगर एक टर्म है 1 टर्म मोनोमियल्स, 2 टर्म्स बायनोमियल्स, 3 टर्म्स ट्राइनोमियल्स, राइट। देन फैक्टर थ्योरम, रिमाइंडर थ्योरम विच आर रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द एनसीईआरटी एक्सरसाइजेस। स्टार्टिंग की जो 2-3 एक्सरसाइजेस है इन थ्योरम्स पे बेस्ड है। यू हैव टू फाइंड, check whether it is a factor of this, one polynomial is a factor of the other. Here you have to find the remainder, right? So dividend divisor are given. So this is all about factor theorem and remainder theorem. So the basics of polynomials here, now we'll be doing, I'll be doing starting my exercises of second chapter NCERT book in my next video. Okay, thank you children, stay blessed and work hard.